All right. Hi, everybody. I am Becky Heil, District Consultant for the Southeast portion of the state, and I'm really excited today. Diane and I have been talking about this potential webinar, it seems like a year, but at least since last spring. One of the things that I was just really taken by was what Diane was putting together that you can get to from our state library webpage with all of the really cool marketing things that are out there. So I just wanted to share that far and wide. So I'm really excited to have Diane Bizzle in the room with us today. She works mainly doing marketing for Brainfuse, and she is going to walk us through the JobNow VetNow portion of all the marketing things that we can do with that. So take it away, Diane. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. So before I get to the marketing, I do want to just do an overview of all of the different things that you can do in the JobNow VetNow program, so you have a good idea of everything that's available. Sometimes things get a little lost because there is a lot of content within the program. So the JobNow VetNow program is for job seekers, for veterans, and for their family members. So it's actually the job program is probably my personal favorite one to talk about, just because I feel like it's so useful. And it's something that, like, if I ever job hunt again, I would use it because there's so many really great tools. And it's something that I wish was available when I graduated from college, because job hunting is such a daunting, overwhelming process. Knowing that there's help out there free through my library is such a cool thing. So I'm just going to kind of go through the different aspects of the service and then talk about marketing. So first of all, right up on the top, you'll notice we do have a little message letting you know that the services are unavailable for Labor Day. We put up any holiday closures about 2 weeks in advance. And all that means is the live coaching, the live tutoring is unavailable. We do have several asynchronous services that are always available. And then the next thing right up at the top is a recorded workshop that we hosted a couple months ago with Ashley Watkins. She is a certified resume and job coach expert. We do workshops with her or another job expert periodically throughout the year. We have another one that we are in the process of getting scheduled. And I believe that is going to take place in October, although I don't know for sure that they've secured the date yet. But as soon as we get that all scheduled, I will send out an email just letting everyone know that we are hosting a workshop and what the topic is going to be. So if I don't have your email and you want that information or any other marketing related emails, which I'll talk more about in a little bit, you can drop your email in the chat. That way I make sure that I get you on my list for marketing related emails. It's social media graphics. It's a monthly email. So social media graphics, any updates or enhancements that we've added, and any other special things that we want to share with you, like these workshops that we do periodically. The next part on the homepage is a job search tool. And this is aggregated from Indeed.com. And it's just a simple job search where you can search for the job, and then you can also put in your location. All right, now let's get down into the more specifics of the program. So across the top, we have three kind of like key areas of the JobNow VetNow program. We have job coaching, the resume lab, and the live veteran navigator. So job coaching is really anything related to job hunting where you want to talk to an expert. You can get assistance with searching, with filling out online applications, with doing your resume, just any type of job related question you may have, you can connect with a job coach. The middle section, the resume lab, is an area where you can send your resume in and get feedback asynchronously. So I'm logged in on a demo account. Let me log out. So when I come in and I click submit resume, you're going to notice it's going to ask me to log in or to sign up. And this is because it's asynchronous and you need to be able to get your resume feedback. So to sign up, super easy. It's a username, a password hint, and a password hint answer. So it's really important to note that we do not collect any personal information. We do not collect names, email addresses, or anything. And because of that, it's really important that whatever you create or whatever is created is something that you will remember or that you store in a secure location. Our tech team can assist with people who forget their username or their password. And it's a little bit cumbersome because we don't have an email reset link. So you would have to either email our tech department or call them. So it's just not as instantaneous as it is when you want to just do an email reset. That being said, let me log in on the demo account. And it's going to take me back over to the home page, and I'll click Submit Resume to get into the Resume Lab. Pretty easy to use. You just upload your file. There's a box for comments. You can put anything in there that would be helpful for the resume expert to know. Our resume coaches are able to assist with translating military skills to civilian skills. That's something that can be pretty complicated depending on what was done in the military. They also do things like checking for keywords, checking for grammar, reformatting, just anything really that will help the resume stand out from other job applicants. What we recommend, and it is included here in the little instructions, is to include details about the job or the purpose for your file. I actually would say the very best thing that you can do, or that your patrons can do if they're using the Resume Lab, is to copy and paste the job description right into that box. That's really the best way for the resume coaches to really see what the potential employer is looking for and really help ensure that the keywords are used appropriately throughout a resume. Keywords are super important because there are a lot of softwares that will pre-screen resumes. And if you're not using keywords or not using them appropriately, there is potential that your resume will not ever get in front of anyone's eyes. It'll get just rejected by the software. So after you click submit, it takes about a business day to get your feedback, and it goes into your message center. So I'll show you a couple different ways to access the message center. There's, you'll see on some of the pages, there is a side menu here that says My Message Center. So that's one way. Up at the top, there's an inbox. And when there's feedback, there will be a little icon next to the inbox letting you know that you have feedback. And then also just under the account dropdown, you can go to My Message Center. So because we don't collect personal information, we don't send an email notification or anything when you have feedback. So you would either need to log in and check on like the next business day. Or if you choose to download the Brainfuse app, you will get it, and you log in on it, and you stay logged in on it, you will get an alert on the app when you have feedback. So the app is available both in the Apple Store and on Google Play. I'm going to show an example of resume feedback. And the example I'm going to show is specific to a veteran. But we do all types of resumes, beginner, entry level, advanced, mid-career, any career field. We do it all. Our coaches do it all. The first couple of sections of the resume feedback is going to be the same for everything that's sent in. It's letting you know what to expect as you're looking through the feedback. And then also there's this little paragraph here about what a resume is, just like really pared down into a very small paragraph to really help get you thinking about things that you could include in your resume. Then there will be some general suggestions, and these are focused on things that were in the resume that was sent in. So things like keeping your resume at about 2 pages. That's not really as important as it was previously, but we do still recommend it unless you are a very experienced job seeker. Just some other little suggestions. And then after all of that, there will be the revised resume and the resume that was submitted. I'm actually going to scroll down to the resume that was sent in just so you can see the differences between what was sent in and the feedback that was given and the changes that were made. So this is the resume that was sent in. You can see they have an objective, they have their summary, they have everything kind of listed out in paragraphs versus bulleted, which is definitely a little bit harder to read. They're also using some military jargon or abbreviations, acronyms that not everyone would be familiar with or may be familiar with. Keep scrolling down. Okay, so that's the resume that was sent in, and then the feedback from the resume experts. You can see they changed the font to a different one just because the original font that was used can be considered outdated. So we do always recommend to use the sans serif font for resumes. So all the changes are notated. So that way, when you're looking at this feedback, you really understand why these changes were made and what exactly the changes were. Here's another example. So in the resume that was sent in, they had an objective, and that's something that is really not used in resumes anymore because objectives are stating what you want, and that's not really that important to a potential employer. They want to know what you can do for them. So we recommend doing a summary or headliner, just something that summarizes your resume at a glance. It's also a section of a resume that can be updated relatively quickly for every job that you apply for, because it is something when you're applying for multiple different jobs, you do want to make sure that you are making your resume targeted for that specific job. And then it was reformatted, doing bullets. The experience was reformatted. So just every change is notated why it was changed. So in addition to using the Resume Lab, there are resume coaches as well. So if you prefer to work with someone live, you can connect with a resume coach in the classroom. You can share a document with the coach and go through it live in a session. it just depends on your availability, the time that you have to apply for the position or to get your resume in, just really all personal preferences. So back on the homepage, the other key area of the JobNow VetNow program is the live veteran navigators. So the veteran navigators are people who are able to assist with navigating the VA, just helping veterans determine potential eligible benefits and different community resources. What's really cool about the veteran navigators is they are all veterans. So they all have been through the process. They fully understand the nuances. They have that personal experience, and it makes it a little bit easier for them to build rapport with the people who are connecting. I'm actually going to pause my screen sharing for a second so I can open up a demo that I have of a session with a veteran navigator, just so you can see what the classroom looks like and how interactions take place. So give me just 1 second to open this up. Okay, so you should see the Brainfuse Classroom right now. I think I set it up to share my whole screen. And whenever a tutor is working with a user, it's done in the Brainfuse Classroom, which is HTML5. So it works across all different types of devices, as well as all of the different browsers. This one, for the demo purposes, is all done with typing on the whiteboard. There is an audio option as well, which is sometimes easier for the job hunting and the veteran coaching to communicate that way versus typing, because you don't really need the visuals that you do with tutoring. And we'll just kind of walk through different questions and really help gauge what the veteran may be eligible for. Our classroom, we did update it recently, and so it looks slightly different than it does in this demo. So all the tools that are across the bottom are actually up on the left side now. And then we also added a new tool, which is an AI translation tool. We do have Spanish speaking coaches. I don't think we have Spanish speaking veteran navigators. I can't guarantee that, but I do know that we have Spanish speaking job coaches. But there is the AI tool, which does translate from any language into English. So that way the tutor is able to communicate effectively with the patron. It is AI, so there could be some errors with it, but it does work very well. And it's a pretty cool enhancement to really help reach all everyone. I'll minimize this. And I will scroll down a little bit. So the first section here is focused on job seekers. So I talked a little bit about the resume coaches. We also have interview coaches. So when you get to that stage where you are needing to prepare for an interview, you can connect with an interview coach and talk through a practice interview. Our coaches will ask some questions that are commonly asked in interviews, like, tell me about yourself, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and help you figure out the best way to answer. So it's what the employer is looking for in asking those types of questions. We recently added unemployment assistance. So in here, there's the ability to connect with a live unemployment benefits navigator. The schedule for the unemployment assistance is a little bit shorter. It's fewer hours and fewer days than the general job coaching. So normally it's 2 to 11, I believe. I'll have to double check. I think I wrote it down. But for the unemployment assistance, it's 3 until 9, just Monday through Thursday. We also have unemployment resources. And there's some general information about unemployment insurance, what it is, how to continue healthcare and different unemployment programs. There's state-specific contact information, and then we have regional links. Let me see. So we do have the regional links here for Iowa for the unemployment assistance. Okay, the next one, eParachute. This is also included in the Help Now program. This, I think, is such a fun tool. It is a partnership that we have with the family of Richard Bowles, who wrote What Color is Your Parachute, which is one of the best-selling career guides, and it's a self-aptitude test. I like it a lot because it's really fun to go through and it's very intuitive. And after you go through all the steps, it gives you 32 different featured career ideas. And with those different career ideas, it also gives you information about responsibilities, skills, different job titles, average annual salary, education level, just a bunch of different background information that goes along with that particular career. For the job resources, these are basically it's job searching tools. We have nationwide and local resources. So nationwide is organized into job sites, which many are probably familiar to you, and then also job sites for veterans. Whenever we are linking to different resources within our service, we always make sure that it's not going to require any sort of payment. That's something that we see a lot of with job-related resources. If you were to just do a Google search, you may find some resources that you'll go through the process of like getting ready to apply for a job or doing like an online resume. And when you get to the end, it asks you to pay in order to complete whatever the task is that you're doing. Like, let's say you are doing an online resume builder, you spend all this time creating your resume on this really cool tool, you get to the end and you can't download it or save it or anything unless you put in your credit card information. So we always make sure that not only are all of the resources that we link to free, they are also relevant to the current workforce because it does change very frequently. And then we also have the local resources for job seekers. So these are all for the state of Iowa. So speaking of resumes, there's a couple different resume tools that we have. We have resources and templates, and we also have a partnership with Optimal Resume, which is a resume building tool. With the resources and templates, the templates are all Word documents. We have them in both English and Spanish, and you can just click on one. It'll download, and then open it up here. It'll take just a second. My computer seems to be a bit frustrated with me today. I have too many. I've been using it too much. So this is the resume template. This is the chronological resume. So it's all laid out for you. And for each section, it has an example as well as an explanation of what to put in that section. And then there's also some other resources toward the bottom. We do have a lot of military specific resume resources because, like I mentioned earlier, just translating the military skills to civilian careers is something that's pretty complicated. We also have, I really like this one, the Career One Step resume guide, because it's very, very detailed. It goes into a lot of minute details about what a resume is and different things that you can include on it. So I mentioned Optimal Resume is our resume building tool. It's a partnership that we have with Optimal Resume, and I'm not going to go into it because it has a lot of information in it, but there is a help document within Optimal Resume as well. And there's basically like 3 different ways that you can create your resume in Optimal Resume. You can either build it from scratch, you can build it based on different resume sections, or you can build it off of a sample. There's over 500 sample resumes within the software for all different careers and experience levels. So I think that that's a really great starting point for anyone who is comfortable using a resume building tool. It is a little bit more complicated than just using a Word document. So it would definitely depend on the computer literacy skills and the comfort level of the patron if they want to use the Optimal Resume tool or not. Then we do have a couple different resources here for interviews. There are interview tips, which is just tips for before, during, and after an interview. I'm a type A person, so I really like the common questions and sample answers. It's helpful for me to be as prepared as possible and to know what someone is looking for when they are asking a particular question. And then also, I think something that tends to be forgotten often after resumes is, after interviews is like what to do next. Like sending thank you notes is so important. And I think it's not done as frequently as it used to be. Back when I was job hunting many years ago, I always did a handwritten thank you note after an interview, and I had a few different people tell me that they had never gotten that before. So that was just another way to stand out from other potential employees. And then there's also interview resources. Again, these are links to some different websites. There's even more potential interview questions here, along with answers and what to expect when you're being asked different questions. There's information about how to dress for an interview, just like the whole interview process. And the last thing in the job seeker section are the career prep and job resource tools. So this is a little bit of an extensive section. We have career information and credentialing information for many different career fields. So you can see it's quite an extensive list. And then there's also within here, there's additional resources and interview preparation. We included, which hopefully the workforce, just like the whole job hunting world, has changed a lot because of COVID, where there's now more people are being allowed to work remotely or doing their interviews virtually versus having to go in person. So even though hopefully we never have to worry about things closing for COVID again, some of these different resources within the career information for COVID-19 are still very relevant. I think particularly the working remotely one is going to be relevant and perhaps even grow as we progress. There's also some computer literacy skills, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Google, some business and career writing, and then JobNow in Spanish. So just some information about JobNow, about interviews, and about looking for a job. Sorry, my nose is really itchy. I keep rubbing it. They were cutting the grass earlier, so my allergies are like crazy. Okay, next up, the tools for veterans. So there's the live veteran navigator, which you can, the veterans or their family members can connect with to learn about different potential benefits and different community resources. Now, let's say maybe you don't want to connect with a live person, you're not comfortable with it, you don't have time to connect with a live person. We do have this asynchronous send question where you can send a question to a veteran navigator and get an answer that way or get feedback that way. So just like the resume lab, this is done through Brainfuse, so no exchange of personal information, no email, anything like that. We do keep a little snippet of our privacy policy here. Full privacy policy is at the bottom as well. You can attach any documents, you can add your question, click submit, and the feedback goes to the message center within a business day. So again, the message center, there's a link to it actually right here. There's also a link on the side, the inbox on the top, and then the message center on the drop down. So a few different ways that you can get the feedback. The other veteran tool, just go back to the home page, scroll down, are the veteran resources. So there are many different veteran resources, and we have organized the national resources. We've organized both of them actually into different categories, focusing on those key areas where veterans may need assistance. Education, employment, healthcare, housing, and then we also have a miscellaneous category, which is resources that may hit on multiple different areas. So I'll scroll down just so you can see some of the different resources. Education, probably the one that is most well known is the GI Bill, but there's several different other tools related to education. Like federal student aid, student aid, scholarships, troops to teachers, employment. There's a couple different employment tools, healthcare, different health issues that veterans may face, PTSD, wounded warrior, warrior care, brain injuries, etc. Housing, VA loans, homeless veterans, wounded warrior. We have also the information for call center for homeless veterans. And then when we get down to the miscellaneous, you'll see this is where these are different resources that don't necessarily fit into one specific category, but may go into multiple, like the Blue Star Families, which is strengthening military families. There's the National Military Family Association, Women's Veterans Alliance. There's specific types of veterans based on where they were fighting, like the Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, American Legion, foreign wars, etc. So there's just a ton of different resources in here for veterans. So this way, the veterans don't have to go through and like scour the internet looking for resources that would benefit them. They can come here and everything is laid out for them and organized in a way that's hopefully helpful for them to find the resources that they need. Then there's also local resources, and just like the local resources for job seekers, these are all Iowa-based resources. The very last section is the tools for learners. And most of these, I'm going to talk about Learn Now. The other ones are not used as frequently, but I'll just briefly explain them. LEAP is a diagnostic testing center, which you actually have LEAP, Flashbulb, Meet, and Brainwave within the Help Now program as well. So LEAP is the diagnostic testing platform. It's geared towards adult learners. Flashbulb is where you can study from different flashcards. You can create flashcards. Just really, there's different games that you can play as well. Meet is using the Brainfuse Classroom as a virtual study room. And Brainwave is creating and sharing notes using the Brainfuse Classroom. But I'm going to go into Learn Now, which is very extensive. And essentially, so if I were to explain Learn Now in a nutshell, I would say that this is where all of the standardized tests are, all of the skills building lessons and videos are located. There's a lot of information in here. We do have a search tool. So let's say you are a veteran and you want to build your skills in writing. You can search just for writing and it'll pull up a bunch of different lessons and resources that you can take a look at. Or you can go into the different sections and look at the resources that way. Most of these are pretty self-explanatory when you're looking at the topic. High school is the lessons and videos for the high school level, so 9th through 12th grade. I always show math as my example because I'm not a math person, but this is an example of a lesson. So we have textual lessons as well as video ones, and you can just read through it. There's practice questions. The answers are all the way down at the bottom. And there's also the ability for some of these to connect with a tutor or a coach to get additional assistance. And then with the video ones, it walks through the process where you can actually see everything, which for me, for math, this is more helpful because I need to see the steps rather than read through it in order to understand. Also in the high school section, there's exam prep for AP and for the high school equivalency test. Then we do have a whole separate section for high school equivalency tests. For the standardized tests, we do also include preparation packs. And the preparation packs or preparation guides include the information that's in the standardized test prep books, but it's more broken down into smaller sections, making it a little bit easier to understand and digest. And then there are different practice tests as well. College entrance test prep, PSAT, SAT, ACT, AP, TOEFL, TOEIC, CLEP, SIA, and the nursing school exams. College Now, this is one that is all about the college application process. So just throughout applying for college, the different things to expect when you're filling out applications, doing your essays, and what to do after you've applied for college. We have the AccuPlacer standardized test. College, this is basic level college courses to help build skills. Career prep and job resources. This is actually the section that we talked about earlier. It's linked on the homepage, where it has all of the career information and then some other job resources. Likewise, the unemployment benefits is linked on the homepage. The nursing school practice exams we have pulled out into their own section. Praxis and ASVAB, more standardized tests, computers and technology, computer literacy skills, computer programming, certification practice, Google tools. Grad school, we have the GRE and the GMATs. Research and presentation tools, that one's pretty self-explanatory. We did recently add media literacy, which I think is pretty important. Adult learner resources. So instead of grade levels, it's beginner, intermediate, and advanced. We also have US citizenship tests in here. And then we do have some resources for ESL, English as a second language learners. So that is JobNow, VetNow in a nutshell. I talked fast. I gave you a lot of information. And I see that there are different questions. So I'm going to take a minute just to answer some of the questions, and then we'll talk about marketing. The live coaches are available, I believe it's from 2 until 11, that's Central Time. That's every day other than federal holidays, like we have on our homepage right now, or up at the top actually. That we don't have the live coaching on September 5th. Unemployment is very state specific. I cannot guarantee that they will be talking to someone in Iowa, but our job coaches do have all of the resources available to them in order to assist the people of Iowa. Okay, this is a really good one. I often find that patrons don't want to take the time to go through the resources. They always need something in a hurry, something done yesterday. What advice can you give for identifying the benefits of patrons to invest their time? I would say when it comes to the JobNow VetNow program, the main thing, the biggest thing that you can tell your patrons is that they can talk to a live person, a live expert for free. And they can get their answers instantaneously by accessing a live person that way. The connection time is pretty quick. It's under a minute. I want to say it's something like 20 seconds in order to get connected with a coach or a navigator, and just taking the time to connect with a live person and get those questions answered is going to benefit them in the long run, because then they are able to, get their resume up to par and potentially, advance in their career or switch to a better paying job, or, it's really going to benefit their life in order to connect with the expert. For VetNow, okay, this is another great question. For VetNow, are they able to help fill out forms or pointing them in the right direction? They can help fill out forms. They will not do anything with any personal information. So, they can walk the veterans through how to fill out the forms, because I know that can definitely be a challenge, particularly for those who may not have computer literacy skills, but there is the audio option as well, which is very helpful in that regard. And then I lost my train of thought, sorry. Let me pull that question back up. Oh, so they can walk through filling out the form. They will not, because on some of the forms you'll have to include like your name, your address, all that kind of stuff. So they will not like actually physically fill out a form for someone. They cannot do that. There's a totally separate type of person who does do that, which is not something that we do as a company, but they can help them go through that process. Does each person need to have their own library card to access the services, or can they use a family member or parent's account when setting up their own account? I'm going to defer that to Becky and Sam. For us, it doesn't matter, but you may have a different answer.
So for JobNow, VetNow, that is available through disbursement that we get from Iowa Workforce Development, and it is available to every single person in the state. So it can be accessed through your website. They can link to it there. They don't need to put in a library card number depending on how you have it set up. Most libraries do not have it set up so that you have to have you even have to have a library card or a card number or anything like that. There are a few libraries who have put that on their website, but for most of the libraries, you do not have to. I guess the only other thing I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Diane, is that if they're setting up an actual Brainfuse account in order to get that sort of personalized service, then they should each have their own because they're asking separate questions, correct?
It would be beneficial. It's not a requirement. I would recommend not sharing a Brainfuse account just because, you're asking your own questions and you can get confused if you're sharing an account with someone else. But like I said, we don't collect personal information anyway, so it's not something that we require.
Right. So I think, does that answer your question, Michelle? Okay.
All right, awesome. I'm going to switch to talking a little bit about marketing now. And then if there's more questions, we will go back to them before we end. So one thing for marketing, we've set up this webpage. I'll put it in the chat as well. And this is where you can find many different resources for marketing. There's link placement guide, there's a user guide, press release template, which probably isn't necessarily that relevant right now. That's generally used during program launch, although it's not a bad thing to do a refresher. Then there's print collateral. So all of the print collateral is PDFs. And when you click on it, it opens in a new tab. It's already customized with the state-wide information. Some of these also have, let me see. I think these are all just customized with the statewide information. If you do want any other customization, you can email us. We do have our general email right here, info@brainfuse.com. That's kind of like our catch-all email. But I will say, like, all of that comes to me anyway. So I'll put my email in the chat as well. Because anything related to marketing, it's dwelzer@brainfuse.com. Anything related to marketing, I am more than happy to assist with. So bookmarks, flyers, posters, half sheets. We have these little mini ones where there's 4 per page. We have some website promotions. One of the big things that we've seen on different websites is there may just be like the JobNow VetNow logo, or like in the menu, it may just say like Brainfuse JobNow VetNow, which doesn't give information for anyone who doesn't know what we are, what Brainfuse is, and what we can do. So we do have some different icons here, different size banners that you can use if you'd like. Or another suggestion is to include a descriptor with the resource. Because the JobNow VetNow program is spanning such a wide audience, you may want to focus on different aspects depending on where you're putting it on your website. So for example, let's say you have a page on your website that is career resources. What I would recommend doing is focusing on anything related to the JobNow program there, like saying professional resume review or live interview coaching, connect with a job coach, those sorts of keywords to explain what the resource is instead of just using a logo. And then they are in Spanish as well. Social media resources. So this is the one that I had mentioned earlier on today. Every month, I do a new social media graphic. They are all added onto the resource page on a monthly basis. This is a dynamic page, constantly updated, but I send them in an email as well. So if you would like to receive that email where you get a social media size graphic and a post suggestion, you can put your email in the chat and I'll make sure that I get you added. Or if there's, someone else, some other member of staff that deals with marketing or promotion, you can, direct them to me or put their email in the chat. So these are all sized 180 by 180, which is good for both Facebook and Instagram. You can just click, it's already customized, download. Then there's this little, you can copy and paste this if you want. You will want to put in like your URL instead of saying go to URL. You may also want to customize the hashtags with like Des Moines, Iowa job seeker, just anything more specific. And because this is such a broad program, I do have the social media images organized. So we have ones for job seekers. And then as you scroll down, there's the post here for veterans. Someone had requested the specific banner size, so I just include it now in the resource center as well. Whoops, I went back too far. Sorry, my computer is a little sleepy today. Veterans, and then keep scrolling toward the bottom here. There are some different videos that can be viewed by yourself, by staff, by patrons, that goes through like each of the different aspects of the JobNow VetNow program. One caveat with this is that the layout is different because the JobNow VetNow program is a special combination program that we did for the state. Normally they're two separate services. So when you're looking at like the overview, it's going to look a little bit different in terms of the layout, but all of the resources within it are the same. It's just combined into one program, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So those are just all the resources that are readily available to you within our resource center. And I did just want to mention a couple other marketing ideas. And so one of the things that I always like to suggest is being strategic with the times of year that you're promoting different areas of the service. And this is something that I always try to do as when I'm doing the marketing emails as well. So with the social media graphic, it comes a month in advance. I'm going to be sending out a graphic. It'll probably be early next week. And that graphic is going to be basically for October. That way it gives you time to get it into your schedule, to figure out how you want to promote it. But I always try to be very strategic with what we're promoting at that particular time of year. So like in December and like May, June, we like to focus on like new graduates for job seekers, because we know that that's the time of year that a lot of kids are graduating either high school or college, depending on when the semester ends. And that's just like a really good time to promote the both, job seeking. And then like there's with the e-parachute, it's really nice to promote that at like over the summer or at the start of a school year, or like right before the school year starts, because it's good for kids that way. It's a little, with the JobNow VetNow program, it's a little bit harder to be strategic with what you're promoting at different times of year, because a lot of it is beneficial year round. But there are a couple key times of year where it'll be a little bit more focused based on the time of year, like seasonal employment, or like standardized test prep, like those sorts of things. And then the other suggestion in terms of marketing, and this applies really for anything, and it might be something that you already do, it probably is, just different ways to engage the community. I was talking to someone this morning from Indiana. That's where they were from. And they have our Help Now program. They've been working with their local media outlets. And she was telling me she did an interview this morning on one local news channel, and then another local news channel was really intrigued and reached out. So just, working with local media is just a really cool way to help get the word out to people who may not be going into the library or may not be aware of all of the different amazing things that you offer. A lot of people don't realize everything that libraries do, which is such a hard nut to crack. And then just, different ways that you can get out in the community. We were talking about with the HelpNet program, we were talking about one of the libraries in the state, Norwalk Easter, they had a booth at their county fair and they got a lot of traffic that way. So just getting out in the public, however you can, whether it's booths at fairs or farmers markets, or hanging posters around town, or my local library has billboards that they have around town. And I don't live in a big town. They were just able to get a really fair price for billboards. And I think that's just like a super cool, different way to reach people out in the community. So, and I know we're at 2 o'clock, so I just want to make sure that there were no other questions. I don't want to keep anyone longer. I can talk more. I can answer other questions. Let's see. So there's another one here that says, is this something I could link to from desktop icons? It is. I do not have desktop icons in your resource center. Let me note that down, and I will put desktop icons in the resource center. That's actually a really good way to help the patrons when they are within the library. Yes, so Niche Academy, we actually work with them. They may have some videos as well, but yes, you can also put the videos onto Niche's as well. Okay, I worked with them in the past to get a bunch of videos set up, but yes, you can definitely add those. Any way that would be beneficial for you and your community, please feel free to use. All the videos are they're linked to YouTube, so. I will stay on for any other questions. If not, I don't know, Becky, if you have any housekeeping that you need to do at the end here, I'll put my email address in here again as well.
Great, thank you. I just had a couple of quick sort of finalizing things as you're kind of getting everything into chat there. A couple of things. The first thing is, how cool is this, you guys, that we have Diane, when somebody says, oh, desktop icons would be cool, she says, oh, I can do that. And now you're going to have desktop icons. What a great service, I guess. I really appreciate all of the stuff that you're doing. And then sort of secondary to that is I've been sort of promoting this marketing page through some of my Southeast libraries, and I have watched as I see all of their Facebook pages and Instagram and some of the other accounts that I follow from the libraries, and I've been seeing lots of posts that I'm sure have come through you guys, and I'm really anxious to see what kind of traffic that's generated. So I'm sort of curious about what some of the statistics are looking like. So I'm going to sort of follow up on that as we go to see, because I know there are specifically quite a few libraries who have been doing that sort of campaign and, you know, putting things out once a month on their Facebook page. The last thing I'm going to talk about really quick is within the next year or so, for both the Help Now and the JobNow, we are going to be working with the AEAs. Those of you in Iowa know the area education agencies, and we're going to be doing some training for the high school teachers, counselors, and librarians. And we're hoping to get public librarians involved in some of that as well, some in person, some online. And right now it's going to be piloted in Southeast, and then hopefully within the next year, we're going to be taking it statewide. So I think this will be some really great partnerships that you guys can use some of this information that's here to help those school librarians as they promote it to their kids. So just one more way of doing some outreach. So that's all I have. Sam, did you have anything that we needed to share at this point?
I lost my Zoom. I do not have anything except to say a big thank you again to Diane. And yes, please do take advantage of all these awesome resources, folks. And Diane and I were having a little technical problems getting her email out in chat, but we did do that now. So you should see Diane's direct contact info in chat, and I will save down all the marketing email requests, and we'll get those sent out to folks as well. So
great.
all right, thanks everyone.
Have a great afternoon.